The most important thing to learn is how to value a business. It's also the toughest to explain. I look for certain, you look for certain things that allows you to narrow it down, like I was saying about, the Spassky-Fisher situation. So if I'm a basketball coach, and I see a guy, and I'm walking around the campus here, and I see somebody 7 feet tall, I'm interested. Now, he may not be coordinated. We may not be able to keep him in school. He may be robbing, stores at night or something. But he's still the right guy to be looking at. We can work with this guy. So I am interested in 7-footers, maybe 6'10". And if I see some guy that's 5'3", and he comes up to me, and he's dribbling away, and he's telling me, doing fancy moves, and he says, "Coach," I said, "I'm your guy." I say, "Yeah, but if you get in there against these 7-footers, I'm not sure he'll be dribbling exactly the same way. I'm going to skip him. He may be a wonderful prospect and all that, but I'm not interested. So I am looking for signals that tell me in investments what height and a few things might tell me if I was a basketball coach."
Maravillosa comparación que hace Warren Buffett con un entrenador de baloncesto. Primero te fijas en la altura del jugador. Ya de por sí te interesa si mide 2'13". Luego ya ves si sabe botar, tirar, etc. Sin embargo, si ves uno bajito que viene presumiendo directamente, lo descartas. Pues igual con las empresas. Quizás haces un cribado y obtienes una empresa que cumple todos los requisitos que quieres. Y hay otra que está en las redes en las que todo el mundo quiere invertir, pero que no cumple esos requisitos. Puede que la segunda triunfe, pero es mejor quedarse con la primera. A continuación, Buffett nos explica qué tenemos que tener en cuenta para quedarnos con ese jugador de 2'13".
It seems like it boils down to some simple things: valuing a business and applying a margin of safety. So my question is, what do you recommend for an approach to getting better and better at valuing companies?
That's a very, very good question. And in my own case, I started out without knowing anything about valuing companies. And then Graham taught me a way to value a certain type of company that would prove successful, except the universe of those companies dried up. But nevertheless, it was almost a guarantee against failure, but it was not a guarantee that these things would continue to be available. Charlie taught me a lot about the value of a durable competitive advantage and a really first-class business. But over time, I've learned more about various types of businesses, but you'd be amazed how many businesses I don't feel that I understand well. The biggest thing is not how big your circle of competence is, but knowing where the perimeter is. You don't have to be an expert on 90% of the businesses, or 80%, or 70, or 50, but you do have to know something about the ones that you actually put your money into, and if that's a very small part of the universe, that still is not a killer. And I think if you think about what you would pay for a McDonald's stand, what you think you would pay for, think about the businesses in your own hometown of Tilapia. Which would you like to buy into? Which do you think you could understand their economics? Which do you think will be around 10 or 20 years from now? Which do you think it would be very tough to compete with? Just keep asking yourself questions about businesses. Talk with other people about them. You will extend your knowledge over time. And always remember that margin of safety. And I think you basically have the right attitude because you recognize your limitations, and that's enormously important in this business.
En este clip, Warren Buffett nos habla de varios aspectos importantes a tener en cuenta a la hora de valorar acciones. Empezó sin saber nada, luego conoció a Graham y aprendió a valorar acciones baratas que luego no tenían ninguna garantía de perdurar en el tiempo, y cómo avanza hacia la inversión en empresas con ventajas competitivas que están en su círculo de competencia. Vamos a hacer un pequeño resumen. Para Warren Buffett, el círculo de competencia es un concepto fundamental para el éxito en la inversión. Este círculo representa el conjunto de empresas o sectores de un inversor comprende lo suficientemente bien como para evaluar con precisión cuestión su valor intrínseco. Buffett sostiene que los inversores deben enfocarse en inversiones dentro de este círculo, donde han desarrollado la experiencia y el conocimiento necesarios para tomar decisiones informadas. Invertir fuera de este círculo aumenta el riesgo a cometer errores costosos debido a una mala comprensión del negocio o la industria. Pero también habla de conocer bien el perímetro de este círculo, es decir, conocer nuestras propias limitaciones y ampliar este círculo con el tiempo. Si bien Buffett enfatiza en la importancia de permanecer dentro del círculo, también reconoce que este círculo puede ampliarse con el tiempo a través del estudio y la experiencia. Sin embargo, este proceso debe ser gradual y deliberado, ya que requiere un esfuerzo y una dedicación significativos. Y por último, también nos habla de la ventaja competitiva, que es otro concepto central en su filosofía de inversión. Se refiere a la característica o conjunto de características que le dan a una empresa una ventaja duradera sobre sus competidores. Esta ventaja puede provenir de diferentes factores, como una marca sólida, tecnología patentada, relaciones con los clientes leales o un equipo gestor superior. En definitiva, él busca empresas con ventajas competitivas sostenibles, ya que estas empresas son más propensas a generar retornos superiores a largo plazo. Al invertir en empresas con fuertes ventajas competitivas, los inversores pueden reducir el riesgo y aumentar las posibilidades de éxito. Seguimos escuchando a Buffett y aprendiendo de él.
Si te estoy aportando valor, te agradezco mucho un like, que me ayuda muchísimo siendo un canal pequeño, y considera suscribirte si quieres ver más contenidos como este de inversiones, dividendos y finanzas.
In the end, what I'm going to buy is the business where I feel extremely certain about the competitive advantage, extremely certain about the integrity and ability of the management, and where I think the discounted flow of the cash that business will produce over time makes sense in relation to its current price. You really are looking for a business where you see the future. And that's why we don't get in tech. It isn't that I don't love the computer and think it's doing all kinds of things for society. I just don't know what it's going to look like in terms of who's going to be selling what to whom and at what prices and against whom and all of that sort of thing 10 years from now. Whereas I know that people are going to be chewing Wrigley's chewing gum in 10 years. I mean, people sitting in front of a computer chewing gum will not behave way differently than people chewing gum, in this audience as we talk. I mean, there are certain things that won't be affected. Gillette razor blades. I mean, that 70% of the value worldwide of razors and blades is Gillette. That's after almost 100 years of shaving, and everybody knows what a razor blade does. They all know how to buy the steel. They all know how to sell it through Walmart or whomever. But 70% of the world. Now, part of that's because men don't like to change as much. I mean, if a man gets happy with something, he doesn't fool around with it a lot. Women are a little more inclined to experiment. But for $25 a year, something you do every day, you get a wonderful experience with Gillette. What better is the world going to offer you? You're getting a claim currently about some 4-blade razor, but don't worry about that one. The 70%, just think of that. Coca-Cola, 19 billion cases of Coke. I mean, not Coke, but Coke products sold a year. Everybody in the world drinking it. You think, will that change dramatically in the next 10 years? I bet my life against that. We sell See's candy in California. There's 35 million people in California. They did the right thing last Tuesday, incidentally. People ask how I got involved in the Schwarzenegger campaign. I won a look-alike contest. I mean, but here they are, 35 million people. Everybody in California has something in their mind about See's candy. What candies are in your mind? Number one candy bar, Snickers. Number one candy bar 10 years ago was Snickers. Number one candy bar 20 years ago was Snickers. People don't fool around with candy bars. I mean, you cannot come out with lots of new bars and intrigue people. It's not like, perfume or other things maybe where people experiment. If you go into the drugstore and you say, I want a Snickers bar, and it's 60 cents, and the druggist says, I've got something just as good for 55 cents called Joe Schmo's, caramel and nut bar, you're going to walk across the street. Now, when you walk across the street for a product, then you got a business. I mean, that is the test. And where a nickel doesn't make a difference. And so it's, there is no good way to compete with Snickers. You want something where price competition is not solely going to be the determining factor. And that's true of razor blades, it's true of Snickers, it's true of See's candy, it's true of Coca-Cola. And there's a lot of things of which it isn't true. That mode is what is differentiation of product, differentiation of service, differentiation of location, whatever it may be. And that's essential.